Welcome to Speakeasily versus the 80s. Join us on our search for the holy grail of 80s culture, or at least the parts that have made us into the trash hounds we are today. We're on a three-freak crusade to find the lost kitsch arc of the Schlock Covenant and unlock the unholy secrets of cable TV, teen sex romps, and low-budge creature features. A quest that has led us down some very strange alleyways of discovery, but perhaps none so strange as today's selection. I'm Odessa Lill, and with me, as always, are my comedy life partners, Klingon Vanna White and Shecky Davis Jr.,
Greetings and salutations.
Hello. It's been
Good job,
a while.
guys.
I'm happy to be back.
Where were we?
Well, the New Year's hit, and that was crazy. And you guys tried to impeach me, but nope.
We're always trying to impeach you, Shecky.
Yeah, but I prefer apples.
I will in-apple you next time, I promise. Yeah, this whole Y220 thing, I guess, really scared us, and we went deep underground.
So deep.
Yes. In fact, that's where we are right now. We're coming at you from our underground bunker in the Central Galaxy. That's right. Fresno, bitch. Fresno. And our special guest today is the co-host of the podcast Indiana Jones Minute and lifelong skater bro, Pete Mummert.
Hey.
Yay.
Woo.
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 After watching this movie, I was hoping for a few more. Sick, man. Rad.
Totally.
Gnarly. Totally gnarly.
That was totally a gnar movie.
They were speaking in words and in tongues that I just didn't even understand.
Right? Oh, my God.
That's the point. That's the point.
Nar.
You're gonna have to explain some stuff to us, Mr. Pete.
You got some splaining to do.
Like halfway through, I thought, should we be taking notes of this so we can get to like a linguist or something? Because I'm a little confused.
We are talking about The Search for Animal Chin, the 1987 skater video, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Video. They probably made it on video, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Directed by Stacy Peralta, who was one of the original Z-Town dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually like next generation skater.
Yeah, this is like second generation, but sort of first mass generation, I think.
I feel comforted knowing that it was shot on video. When I was watching it, I was just like, man, this is a lot of film.
Right? And I was like, damn.
That worried you?
Yeah.
All those Panaflex cameras and
Like, oh.
Like all these poor art students, film students could have been using that.
They had all this film, and this is what they decided to make with it.
Well, we're sitting there watching it, and I asked Odessa, like, are we watching Privilege? Is this what we're doing? And she was just like, maybe. I don't know.
Oh my God, I felt the same way.
That's an overarching theme I think we're going to talk about today. What is this and who is it for? The other overarching theme we should talk about is that this is a Quest movie. And Pete, it seems like you have a thing for Quest movies.
I do. Apparently. Yeah.
Because you're the co-host of Indiana Jones Minute. You started, of course, with the original Indiana Jones movie. Mm-hmm. And now, where are you?
We are now talking about Crystal Skull, and we sort of got a little burnt out, and we're taking a little bit of a break from that.
Oh. Is it because of that movie?
A little bit, maybe, yeah.
Are you going to do the TV show at all?
We have talked about one of them, and I think the short answer is no way.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You heard it here first, people. But what is it about Quest movies that captures your imagination, Pete?
That's a good question. I hadn't even thought of this as a quest movie.
I actually thought it was like a porn.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's
exactly like a porn.
It starts with the masturbation, all the masturbation, and then it ends with a 3-way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's lots of bad acting and very slim plot in between.
Yeah, a lot of setup, a little bit of setup, and then just a lot of
a lot of doing it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of doing it. It's all doing it.
Yes.
I got to put my mind back in the gutter because actually, you're right. This is very much similar to Hot Dog the movie, which we did.
Mm.
Where it's just like, just watch the action.
Yeah, but if Hot Dog the movie had so much more plot.
I mean, that's not saying a lot, though.
It isn't, which is the sad thing.
So what is this movie about?
Pete?
This movie is all about the pure joy of skateboarding. And also it's about Powell and Peralta selling a lot more skateboarding products, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was pretty much the love of skateboarding. It was kind of hilarious. At one point I was watching it and I saw like they were all kind of standing around. I can't remember when it was, but it was just like you see Tony Hawk and he's got to be like 14 years old there.
Yeah.
And he straight up looks like he has the most painful hangover. I was like, oh, look at that kid. He's got like the bags under his eyes and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like, little did you know watching him at that time, back then, that he would be like a multi-millionaire now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like the richest one of them all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so he's definitely the one that the breakout star.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He was pretty much the best out of all of them. I mean,
he's amazing.
Yeah. And he took it the farthest. So, So yeah, good on him. In 2016, I guess Rolling Stones did an article, with him. He was like reflecting on Animal Chin and everything. I didn't read it though, so.
I think they rebuilt the ramp from the end of the movie, which was only in existence for a couple of days when they made the movie. So they they completely rebuilt that ramp and they brought everybody back. It was like a 30th anniversary thing.
Yeah, I think they built that up in Tehachapi.
Yeah.
Originally, they filmed the big ramp scene in Mexico, right? Or so they say.
I'm not sure where they actually. I'm not sure where they actually built that. I'm guessing somewhere outside of LA, but.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere outside LA or Nevada. Yeah. I think it was shot in Nevada too. Yeah,
and of course here in San Francisco.
And Bakersfield.
Yep, and a little
Hawaii,
bit in Hawaii. Yeah.
Hawaii.
Although
I travel.
Yeah, and I can't overstate how much of a bombshell this movie was when it came out in the skater community in the 80s.
Oh, I'm sure.
Tell us about it.
Every kid who skated, like for one thing, skating, it was sort of a magical time if you skated back in the 80s because you had friends all over the world you just hadn't met yet. And you'd go anywhere. And if you had your deck with you, like people would yell, "Hey, man, was that a pair welder?" Or whatever. They yell about your deck. All of a sudden you got instant friends. Huh. And it was like a really cool community. Which I don't think lasted very long, but it seemed like a very magical time. And then this movie came out and it was just pure joy for everybody. And it was sort of like, everyone read Thrasher magazine and everyone read Trans World Skate magazine. And this was, everybody watched this.
And that was everybody being the limited group of skaters that loved it.
Yeah, everybody absolutely being that small subset of skaters. Yeah.
But how culturally important for that subgroup?
Yeah.
Huge.
But it's weird that subgroup ended up influencing so many things, even though it was such a small subgroup.
Totally.
They were so white, so that makes sense.
Well, I know we want to say that, but there's a little color in there.
A little.
I mean, you always gotta have your tokens.
Inside. Yeah. Tommy Guerrero has almost all of the things. It's funny because I only know of him as a musician in San Francisco because he's performing all the time.
Okay.
And has been for years.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of interesting to see him as this little tiny kid on a skateboard movie.
Yeah, he's so young.
Yeah. I mean, they all are. I guess like what he and Tony Hawk are the youngest ones.
Yeah, but like Lance Mountain's like 27 or 28 during this. Like some of
What?
them. Yeah, it's a little weird, but
That is a little weird. Like, stop hanging out with the little boys, man.
yeah.
Hey, this is money.
Is Lance Mountain the one with the eyebrows?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked maybe 23.
Yeah. I think Mike McGill was a bit older too at that point.
Lance Mountain was born a month before me.
You can just do the math.
He's not that old. It's weird. Let's see how old is Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk is like in his late 40s, early 50s, right?
No, early 50s.
Yeah.
He's 51. So Lance Mountain was 55.
Damn.
Wait. So Tony Hawk must have been so much.
I think he was 19 when that movie came out.
Yeah, he looks 14,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tony Hawk was 19 years old then?
I think
Yeah.
so.
He
Makes
must
a
have
little
been
more
taking
sense.
some hormone suppressors.
aw.
Well, they talk about what was it with the sex change? Like
Oh, the trick.
move all the time.
Sex change move.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
So you used to do sex changes, right, Pete?
Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
is it?
I don't even remember.
It's like when they flip the board under their feet, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like
That was a terrible way to explain it, but
you flip the board. If you ollie on the street and you flip the board and land on it, that's a sex change.
ta-da!
Nice job.
Yeah.
It's like you switch the direction of the board.
A kick flip front side 180 body variable. That is way too technical for these guys to understand that.
No, these guys
Kick
totally
flip
understand
front
physics.
Side 180 body variable.
No, Klingon, you're underestimating these guys. I mean, they're athletes, but like they totally have to understand spatial areas.
They wear helmets. It's not like they get hit to the head all the time.
Yes.
These guys were like squeaky clean.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
they're
another
not
thing.
as-
Yeah. It's like, why were they wearing their helmets? These kids were not street. Like they're like, we're good kids. We're gonna wear our pads
No,
and our helmets.
They're not the Z-Town guys.
Yeah. It's at least not for this movie. Like the movie, I think was a very sanitized. Like they wanted to, because if you notice at the end of the movie, when it gives special thanks, it's like special thanks to all the kids who skate worldwide and their parents.
Yeah.
And I think this was a special, like, it's parent friendly.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that Tony Hawk was 19 years old. He literally looks like he's 14 in this. And he acts like it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He's literally 4 years different from Lance Mountain.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
Lance Mountain was not 27 at the time of this movie.
He must have been 23.
23, 24. Okay.
That sounds a little better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, maybe also there was some sponsorship happening with the helmets and the pads and all that.
Well, yeah, I
Pretty
guess the bouncer.
adorable.
Yeah, the bouncer for the nightclub, he was a pretty big promoter and wasn't a very good skater, but he was like part of a whole bunch of like a surf team and a street team and a whole bunch of stuff. So I guess you're right. There probably was a little bit of a subtle product placement, in the movie. So, or in the video. I guess we
Shecky,
could call
are
it a movie.
you talking about Johnny Rad?
Oh yeah, Johnny Rad was a.
Is that what you mean?
No,
think
no,
he's
no,
talking
the
about
bouncer,
Skip
The
England.
bouncer.
Yeah, the
Oh,
bouncer.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
He was one of the original Z boys.
Ah,
Just like Stacy. Yeah.
I didn't
But
know that. Wow.
But like the pads were a real thing. Like if you did like at Johnny Rad's club, if you did freestyle skateboarding, which was sort of like you've got that little tiny board and you would do like just tricks on the ground. You would always wear knee pads because you would really trash your knees. And when you were on a half pipe, you would always wear pads.
because you could just destroy yourself.
Yeah.
Total
yeah.
nar.
Yeah.
But
what were they called?
street
The
skating.
Bone Team?
The
The
Bone
Bones
Brigade.
Brigade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Bones Brigade.
Yeah.
I don't know,
They probably
y'all, but
earned that.
That's hella suspect. Bone Brigade. I mean,
Oh boy. Well, Pete, maybe can you explain what the Bone Brigade was for us land dwellers?
Well, the Palo Peralta, which was one of the skate companies in the 80s, I think they're still around, but all of their marquee skaters had a deck design, like the artwork on their deck had some variation of a skull. You know, like Tony Hawk had the famous skull, and so they called them the Bones Brigade. And everybody in the movie is from the Palo Peralta team.
Okay.
And they were the big, like there was Vision Streetwear and Palo Peralta, but I think Palo was partially because of this movie by far the biggest, and because of Tony Hawk. Right.
And then this is basically made by them to promote them.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it was promotional because every so often, like if Thrasher had a team, all you would see, all it was just a collection of them doing tricks. This is the first one that really had a narrative to showcase their tricks. I say narrative because I wouldn't say plot.
Okay. Let's review that narrative real quick for our listeners. It won't take long.
No.
Okay. So you got a bunch of dudes, and they're looking for Animal Chin, right?
Yep. The legendary skater who bolted roller skates onto a 2x4 and invented skateboarding.
Looks like that guy that taught Ralph Macchiato how to fight. And the
Macchiato, Ralph
Macchiato.
Ralph Macchio.
Macchiato. But totally, yeah. He's like a sensei of some sort of skating.
Yeah.
And also, yes, this is racist.
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
Really? I don't think so.
Well, let's get in there. It's not inherently racist until you see him or his outline.
Yeah. Well, his name is also Wonton.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Wonton Animal Chin.
Yeah.
Would like wanton, slovenly or sexy or
wonton, like the soup. Like the soup.
The soup. Emerson Wonton Animal Chin.
Yeah, and he goes missing for some reason.
I thought it was because when skating sort of became mainstream, and that guy was like, we're making money off of them, and they want skulls on this. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Animal Chin went into hiding because people wanted to, skating got bigger, and so he went into hiding. I guess.
Which is funny because like the movie, and it starts off with Stacy Peralta, one of the two founders of Palo Peralta Skates, throwing his TV out of the doing a tail drop with the TV after the skateboard segment on the news channel where the guy said, yeah, it's all about death, gore, dismemberment, selling $300 million worth of products. And like Stacy Peralta gets mad, but that's kind of exactly what he's doing.
It's exactly, you're right. Is he making fun of himself or is he trying to put
I can't tell. Yeah. Is there any self-awareness or irony in that? I'm not sure.
But yeah, the guy who plays the skateboard magnet is Garrett Graham, actual actor of some renown. Who's been in just a million things.
Someone called in a favor for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I like the newscasters asking him. He says it's about $300 million. Or what's skateboarding up to these days? And he says about $300 million a year.
Yeah.
And the TV guy goes, skaters? And he goes, dollars, homeboy.
Yeah, that's right. That's all he cares about.
I wonder if this movie was where Homeboy really kicked off, or Holmes, or like there's a lot of Holmes in this movie.
There is a lot of Holmes. I did read that Sick was used, like this is the first time Sick is recorded as a positive.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's so hard to chart these things.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure Homeboy was being used not by white kids before this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think so. So one thing that I thought was really kind of cool was all the locations. So they start off in Hawaii. I don't know why they start off in Hawaii, and they're like,
they're looking for Animal Chin. They're on a quest.
No, but they find out what's going on with Animal Chin in Hawaii, and then they decide to go on the quest. So they're already chilling out in Hawaii. So it's like, okay, we're in Hawaii. We're doing our thing. Where should we go next? San Francisco. Okay. And so they go to San Francisco. And I'm like, okay. So they're in San Francisco and they're skating and they're in Chinatown. And I'm like, okay. So they're in Chinatown skating around Grand Street. Obviously, it looks like it's Grand Street. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then people are kind of looking at them. And you're right, though. When they meet the locals, quote unquote, and they have boards, they're like, or decks, they're like, hey, oh my god, and so I think all of them are kind of cool with it, and they're like, yeah, and so they're like, you know, a lot of camaraderie as they're hanging out and skating.
Yeah, they're making friends.
Yeah, and then it was and like they had that epic shot with like the classic car. And then it's the kid selling the star maps to skaters' homes in the shadow of the Bay Bridge, and you're just kind of like, okay, because they were on the pier, and you're like, okay, sure, whatever. And then
missing a tooth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it was like, what the fuck is up with that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's like, does he play hockey?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference, really?
It's amazing that everyone that's skated isn't like completely, you know, missing several limbs and teeth and body parts at this point.
So true. I like that shot, that scene, because that shot has been in so many movies. That location.
Oh yeah,
the bridge,
like straight out of Vertigo, and
exactly. Yeah. How many film noirs has that shot been in? And then here's this kid selling skate maps. And it looks
it's
so
like you sort of realize that these are all just a bunch of teenagers. Yeah. But then he's like, just the way that he's like, maps to the skaters, homes, you know, and then it's all like, and then it's like you said, it's hard to understand what anyone's saying 30 years later.
Yeah. And then like, it did look really cold. And I was like, geez. So cool. But it was fun. It was fun looking at, you know, SF, you know, back in the, you know, 80s, and you're like, okay, this is kind of cool, you know, because they're obviously in the avenues in some spots, and they're downtown Civic Center. I think there was Civic Center. So yeah, a lot of fun, cool spaces.
I think they're in the Richmond.
Yeah, they're in Richmond Park, and then they're up in Palace of Fine Arts. Lots of all over the place.
That was kind of amazing that they were able to even skate in the Palace of Fine Arts without getting harassed.
Yeah.
I think in the 80s, you could do a lot in San Francisco. It's not like
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really special to see all those sites. And, you know, it really is kind of like a travel log that way.
Yep.
And then from SF, where do they go? Bakersfield?
Yes, they went to, so they're in SF, and then they go to Bakersfield. And
beautiful Bakersfield.
Yeah,
they skate there apparently.
And I loved the thing about all the houses looking the same. I thought that was cool. I was like, all right.
Totally.
And then you see all, you know, the houses, and then the way that you know is because there's, you know, the skyline of all these, you know, ranch houses essentially, and there's kids all standing on the roofs, and occasionally you see a little kid flying up in the air, holding onto a skateboard, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So they like, and then they go there, and they had built a tube that was taking up the entire backyard of someone's house. The reason they're standing all the roofs of the other houses is because that's the only place they had to stand.
Yeah, it was hilarious because you see all the white kids together, and they're all you know, standing together because they were all white, which is fine. And I was like, okay, and then they show a picture of a dad,
that dad.
And he's like, hey, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
I sell air conditionings, and then built a half pipe for my son to keep him off drugs. Yay!
That dad's the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that dad.
And then when the guy's talking about when he shredded or when he fell, I don't know the terminology, and he's talking about how his wrist is all willy womped and his knee is philly dipped and his ankle is chihuahua wopped and
yeah, Pete, can you break that down for us? I mean, is that he's bragging about all the shit he's done to himself?
Yeah, no, that was a big thing. Is like checking off your injuries. But I think he's kind of that's a little bit self-referential, is that he's just making up words. I think that are he's kind of pointing out the weirdness of all this.
So he was just making up words. I thought that was actual real dictionary. Real skater dictionary terminology.
Yeah. No, some of it was, but and it's interesting, like this talk of privilege, and I like watching this movie. It really jumps out. Like at the time, at the time I was a dumb teenager in the 80s, so you don't notice a lot of stuff.
Were.
Yeah. But my at least my personal experience was that the skating crowd was a lot more diverse. Like it felt a little more. But I think part of that's because I didn't grow up with any money. So that might have been, I had a different experience. But watching this, like, it's just like, oh my God, like all the rich white kids in the backyard with the dad building the ramp. And
yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's be fair. We're talking about middle class.
Yeah. These are middle class people.
Class.
Yeah.
I
mean, Shecky and I were looking at that neighborhood with the tan and brown houses, or whatever they refer to. And it was like, that's Fresno.
Yeah.
Like Bakersfield, Fresno. There's no difference.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, that literally could have been any Central Valley cul-de-sac neighborhood.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
100% middle class.
Yeah. When your middle class wage could actually start to go towards something as ridiculous as a ginormous half tube in your backyard.
Exactly.
That was kind of bizarre.
What do you think happened to that? Like, do you think that's still there?
It rained.
Yeah, it rained.
The neighbors got over it, all the sounds of the grinding. And
well, I had neighbors when I was growing up in Fresno. I had neighbors.
I had neighbors too.
No way. Maybe they were the same. But they had teenage boys, and they built nothing like that. But they built one of those what do you call them?
Half pipes.
Half tube or half pipe.
Yeah.
They built a half pipe in the yard, and it was like for one summer, all we heard every single day was whoosh, 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 and it was so crazy.
Oh, that was a big thing. Like I built a ramp, not a half pipe, but I built a launch ramp, and it was like, it's weird. Like, I still have no handy skills at all, but somehow I managed to build this giant launch ramp.
How big was it?
It was maybe 4 feet tall, which is big enough to jump over cars or stuff.
And then what would you do once you got over the car?
Usually crash, but
fly into outer space and everything.
Yeah. I mean, it was remarkably dangerous. Like, it's amazing parents let any kids do any of these things.
Because it just takes one cool dad in the backyard having a barbecue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all the kids go there.
Yeah.
All it takes is the dads to drink like 3 beers together, and then they're suddenly like, oh, this sounds fun.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Here's a project.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll keep you off the drugs. Nancy Reagan says, say no.
Well, this summer, it'll keep you off the drugs. Who knows next summer?
That's true.
But it's funny because it all went along. Like there was a whole subculture. It wasn't just skating. Like it was skate music. It was skate clothing. It was like a whole. You had to, like, most kids bought in 100%.
Yeah. And even kids that didn't skate are going to wear those clothes. I mean, it's like surfing. It's like when we were growing up and like the what was that fucking called? CNC Country Club or whatever. There was a brand that we all had to wear. even though we didn't surf or skate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, OPC.
Or OP.
That was OP.
Yeah, there was
fun.
OP. Yeah.
Yeah, but Town and Country.
I don't remember Town and Country. I mean,
That
I kind of
does
remember
not sound like skater.
I do remember Town and Country.
Really?
I think it was, yeah,
It's more
TNC.
surf.
Oh, TNC.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
TNC Surf Design. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I never knew it was Town and Country.
Yeah.
Thanks for bearing
Wow.
with us, audience.
Wow.
The dementia has set in. Yeah, I mean, we
Hardcore.
like I was wearing board shorts. And,
Yeah.
like I didn't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah. Did you ever have a Mr. Zog sex wax t-shirt?
No, but I wanted one.
I want one now.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Mr. Zog sex wax.
Yeah, it was a surfboard wax.
Oh,
But it became like, just because of the name, like everyone all over the country, like people who lived, 1,500 miles from the ocean would be wearing one.
hot.
Okay, that is cool. So they went to the suburbs. So they went to the big city. So they were in paradise. They went to the big city. Then they went to the suburbs, and then they had to go to Sin City, Vegas, baby.
Vegas.
Ah,
And they check into the famous Pink Motel.
Which is okay. So that guy is the unsung hero of the movie.
What is with that guy? Yeah.
oh yeah, the hotel guy.
So
That was pretty cool.
That was Monty. Was that guy's name? And he just passed away actually not too long ago.
Oh, that's not.
But it was a long time movie place. So basically people would come there and they would film movies at that location at the Pink Motel and Johnny Cadillac's. That guy basically the pool became famous because of that movie, and I guess it was stayed empty the whole time. Like he never filled it after that movie, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like a big skater hangout. So skaters would go there and play and do stuff. And they had the junkyard with the cars that was real, and you could rent those cars and drive around and stuff. So people would, like, movie studios would come over there and rent that place, and you could actually stay there. And there's a cafe as well.
oh wow.
Yeah, so I was going to see like what movies had that, but I ran out of time, so no.
Do you know which movies were shot there? Or you seem to know about that hotel, Pete.
No, I just seen that there were some movies shot there, like back in the 50s and 60s. Or like people used to stay there, like
Yeah.
Hollywood actors and actresses used to stay there.
It looks like such a cool place.
Yeah. It was Monty Thomulika. Yeah, Cadillac
Oh.
Jack's Cafe and Pink Motel, retro movie set and props.
Huh.
Oh,
Wow.
that's cool.
Wait,
I love his look. His look was so like classic.
Oh yeah, the shorts. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna wear shorts. Was
Yeah.
with my pompadour.
Yeah, with the white pompadour.
But he was like, he looked like he worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, he had that classic kind of like look, He's like I got, and he was super tanned. He had the white hair pulled back into like a pompadour. He had the athletic shorts on and everything. I was just like, okay, yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, he passed away in 2015. So,
Oh,
Was he the actual owner of that place?
yeah, he was the actual owner and
I thought
operator.
that's got to be an actor.
Nope.
Nobody looks like that.
You saw him and thought that guy's got to be an actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love his very wooden line readings were one of my favorite parts of the.
Totally. But I just assumed he was like the actor that plays Johnny Rad, like a friend of theirs or someone in the scene.
Nope. And then
and standing in for Johnny Rad is Johnny Rad.
yeah, his grandkids take care of the place now.
Ooh, we should go stay there.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Maybe they'll let us saw up one of their cars.
Yeah. Okay, so they go to the junkyard, they buy a car, and then they just like saw it apart.
I never would have sawed the fins off of it.
No.
Yeah.
I was down with turning it into a convertible though.
Also, one of the best kept secrets about the Pink Motel, it's in San Fernando Valley.
I can't wait to go there.
Yeah, it's in Sun Valley. It's not in Vegas.
Even easier.
Wow. That's awesome.
Well, so they didn't go to Vegas at all.
No.
You get to see like downtown old Vegas though.
Oh yeah, you do see them driving in the Cadillac downtown.
So maybe they stayed halfway to Vegas there and then they drove to Vegas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a stop on the way. You're right. Because I mean, it was kind of fun to see old Vegas like before some of that stuff was blown up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And from there, they go to this nightclub.
Yeah, the skate and destroy party with Johnny Rad and the eggplants.
Yes. Actual band.
Is it?
Yeah, I guess he's done stuff with that band and other places. I don't know if it was previous to that or just because after that. I don't know.
Real quick, before we leave the Pink Motel, unfortunately, you cannot stay there anymore. They closed their doors, but you can still shoot there. And the most recent thing it looks like that was there was it was shown in Netflix's wrestling movie Glow.
Oh,
It's a TV show.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that show.
Oh, was that the hotel that they lived at?
I think it might be.
But they live at a shitty one first before they get the job.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Vegas one.
Yeah, but it looks like you can't. Unfortunately, it looks like you can't stay there anymore. But it was okay. So it was filmed in. So it was Dexter and Drive. It was in CeeLo's "Fuck You," and yeah. Yeah, so I guess people. So there was I found a thing where they actually looked at all the places that have been. So I am not a stalker.com basically says all the places that were all the things that were shot there.
You have to say it.
Yeah.
I am not a stalker.com.
I want an email address that's like, based out of that. So Audra at I am not a stalker.com.
Wow, Grease 2 shot there.
Grease 2.
Wow.
Well, okay, so
MacGyver?
the only way we're going to see it is if we make our skate movie.
Yes. It's just like a whole bunch of, it's like an hour of us just wiping out left and right.
Yeah, I can't even stand on it.
One shot of me wiping out, possibly not even on camera because it wouldn't be ready. And then I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
Love it. Then we'll get the dogs on skateboards. They're better than us.
Oh, that's the way we get them to bark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if I need them to bark for any kind of movie or something, we just get a skateboard.
Oh, dogs hate wheels. Some reason. Well, Pete, you're our only chance. You have to be the one skater in our skateboard movie.
But speaking of that pool, what's going on with Lance Mountain, the devil Lance Mountain, like cackling above everybody?
Don't know.
Oh, yeah. They're like, we have these video effects. How could we use that? It totally reminded me of those weird portraits where you have it's the portrait of you sitting, but then you have your face, disembodied face, floating overhead and like
like the double exposure thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't know. Yeah, suddenly it turned into like a Kenneth Anger movie. And I'm like, yes, totally I get it. Little boys, bikers, what's the difference? Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Kind of a foreshadowing of the evil side of Vegas.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, no, I think that was a way to capitalize on them wiping out. At the end when they went to sleep, his
and all the dreams.
Yeah, the dreams of them wiping out. So it was
I forgot about that already, and I just watched this morning.
It happens.
65 minutes of action. So let's talk about that hotel room scene.
Yeah, that could you film that today?
I don't know. I mean, I guess
Six
they were all
six young boys in a room
Yeah.
together. I mean, come on.
2 beds. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a little weird.
the sleeping arrangement. That just didn't seem comfortable, but I'm sure I've done it.
And then there's like the scene a little bit later in the room where like the sheets are off the bed and it just looks like so horrible.
Yeah.
And they're
You
doing
know,
those.
it just smells like farts and corn chips.
Yeah. and they were doing that. They were doing those weird like exercises, you know, the routines.
Yeah, the calisthenic thing. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
That was cute.
You did see the like potato chip wrappers all over the floor. And, like you gotta like, would anybody over the age of 15 enjoy that?
Yes.
Apparently those guys did.
Yeah, apparently, yes. Apparently the answer is yes.
I mean, the weird thing about it though is that was kind of like me when I was a kid. To be completely honest, like me and my buddies, like I remember going in like 90, 91, 92,
Mhm.
I think 92, going with like me and my friends going to a comic book convention in like Oakland, and it was so my mom was the chaperone, and so she had the room next to us, and we had the room.
Oh, thank God for her.
Yeah.
So my mom
Smart.
basically took us
She's a
all
smart woman.
up to Oakland from Fresno, and she was just like, "Okay, well here's your room. Don't bother me." And I was like, "Okay." And so it was like 4 of us, so we're like jumping around on beds and being stupid.
And she just like threw bags of Doritos in there and closed the door.
Yeah.
And then,
Lock it from the
It's a
outside.
cage.
and then what was really weird is we kind of had our own little animal chin because I remember we said, okay, we're gonna go and visit because Jason was with us, and we're gonna go visit Jason's uncle, you know, not telling my mother that his uncle was gay, but just we're gonna visit his uncle.
Okay. So you're talking about Chavez.
Yeah, Chavez. And so they lived in the Haight. And so we took Bart over to San Francisco and then rode the bus to the Haight and hung around with them in like 92 and hung out, kicked it for a while. And then we were going to leave. And they were like, don't worry, we'll just drive you back. And he drove us all the way back to Oakland.
How old were you?
15. It was WonderCon 1992, and
Excellent.
yeah, so it was my first comic book convention I'd ever been to.
A Fresno 14 is younger than a San Francisco 14.
Very younger,
Yeah.
So
It's like a San Francisco 12.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then remember Josh Jackson? I butchered his hair. he let me cut his hair.
You cut your friend's hair
in
God.
the bathroom at a hotel. We fucking butchered it.
You know, maybe it's good I was never a 14-year-old boy. Yeah, so you get it. You get this scene.
Yeah,
but
I do. I totally
it
understand what's going on
captures-
with that one. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I've lived that
captures the
life.
magic. But they're still looking for Animal Chin, so they go to Vegas and they go to this nightclub, and they meet Johnny Rad, who's kind of like a bit of a yogi to them or something. Like
Mhm.
he's got some advice for them.
And the magic cigarette that never gets lit.
Yeah.
I don't trust people that wear their sunglasses at night.
And hold an unlit cigarette.
So the one thing that was very interesting was I look over at Odessa and I'm like, this doesn't seem like the type of music that they would be listening to. And she's just amazing. She's all like, it's an ironic lounge act. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it now. Like I was totally did not get it at all. She's like, it's an ironic lounge act. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Remember the 90s? Remember the early 90s? It started somewhere. It started
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Ironic lounge acts were all the rage.
Yeah. They were big.
Richard Cheese.
Yeah. Totally.
That was a good one.
Black Velvet Flag. Remember that?
No.
No.
Oh, well, look it up.
That's it. Just look it up.
Look it up.
It's interesting. Like he is kind of a yogi. It's kind of almost a little Buddhist wisdom here when he tells him, if you look too hard, you're never going to find him. You just have to relax and enjoy your skating,
That's right.
That is very sweet.
which I like. Yeah.
And then he becomes a narrator for the rest of the film
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
because there's no previous narration.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, like has he been the secret narrator the whole movie, and we just found out now, or?
Yeah, we just hear him now. Yeah. Yeah, he gets into the philosophy that maybe Animal Chin isn't necessarily a person, but like the spirit of skating.
Yeah, they don't. What do you say? They don't call him Commander Fun for nothing.
Sure.
I love like philosophy that's like at 1 foot deep. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of like, sure, whatever.
Yeah, Buddhism for shredding on your skateboard. But he does tell them to go to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this huge, crazy half pipe there, right?
Yeah, he says outside of a town called Guadalupe, between two junkyards.
Right.
And this half pipe is a big deal.
Tell us about the half pipe.
Well, it's just like we'd never seen anything like it when they showed this.
I've never seen it.
It was it was like two half pipes with a spine in between, and then eventually there was like a cutout section in the spine, so you could go from the edge of one half pipe to the edge of the other one.
That's when the porn really hit.
Yep.
There were some money shots.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all it was.
And then they opened up the back door and started going through that.
Back door. Yeah. Total porn. You just keep escalating it.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? The back door.
Yep.
Yeah, that was nuts. We were actually watching that going like, well, maybe that's Animal Chin's house. And he's just going to like come out and be like, kids, get off my house.
Well, one of the early Tony Hawk video games, you could skate on this ramp.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, which was very cool.
I had no idea. And I've played most of the Tony Hawk skater games.
I don't remember if it might have been at like a secret level. I don't remember.
Whoa.
Maybe.
A back door to get in there. So this thing was huge, right? Do we know how big this was? How tall?
No, but that's tall. Like it was for the time, especially like now, like you watch X Games stuff and they're huge, but at the time there was nothing big like this. I don't think.
They built it for the movie.
Yeah, it was only up for like 3 days or something.
God.
Seems like such a waste.
Yeah. And you can even see like pieces of plywood. Like it doesn't look like they even finished it. Because when they show that shot kind of zooming in on it, you see like pieces of plywood lying around next to it. And
that plywood ladder to get onto the top.
Yeah.
So sketchy.
But this is where the skating gets like really artistic. Like they go nuts here.
Yeah. It's interesting because like this movie, like when things go really nuts, it's like the vert half pipe stuff. But it not too long after this, skating the big part of skating sort of became more the street style skating. So it was interesting that even though this was so huge, I feel like skating went in another direction, at least for most people.
It was more accessible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you saw this and then you wanted to go do it yourself out in the streets of Bakersfield or Fresno or something, then you do what you can. You do the street skating.
Yeah. Although you might be surprised, like there would have been several people in Bakersfield or Fresno that had a secret half pipe in their backyard. And
like my neighbors.
Yeah, like your neighbors.
But do you think like everyone watching this basically wanted to become Tony Hawk?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then like make a living out of this.
Yeah. And some did, like some people that happened.
Well, all these guys did, right?
Yeah, all these guys did. And most of them are still skating, I think, or maybe all of them.
That's a good question, actually. Because it's Tony Hawk, obviously he still is. Steve Caballero, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he is.
And all these guys have their own companies too, right?
Yeah.
Mike McGill.
And he's famous. He invented the McTwist.
And it's not even like a burger. Yeah.
No, it was at the time. That was the most extreme skateboarding move. It was a 540 on a half pipe, and there was a flip in the middle of it.
Gnar.
Yeah, so gnar, dude.
But now, like, guys do like twice or more than that.
Oh wow. Okay, so like all these tricks are basically like small time now.
Oh my God, yeah. You look at these compared to what people do now, and this is like a little kid doing this stuff. It's amazing. Like, this is early days of this kind of stuff.
I mean, if you look at the Z-Boy stuff, they were just riding little banana boards.
Yeah.
Scraping up barefoot, scraping up their toe knuckles. So this was like an evolution from that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like X Games stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil on skateboards. Cirque du skateboard. Okay, and then the Lance Mountain, who's still a skater guy, right?
Yep.
Okay. He's got his own company, doesn't he?
Probably.
Oh. Okay, Tommy Guerrero, who just mostly plays music, and I think he owns his own company.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, I think that, those are the boys.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 boys.
Yeah, and it looks like they get like a lot of like Nike, stuff or cross. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
A lot of sponsorships.
These people are rich.
Yeah.
If they weren't already middle class, they became rich.
And it's funny because like there's this whole theme throughout the movie that you just do it for fun, and at the time we all completely bought into that. But looking back, you realize how much of just a giant marketing machine this was.
Yes.
And I remember going to the X Games in 95 or something here in San Francisco. And I remember they had this enormous ramp and this enormous streets scene with all these different little ramps and launch ramps and stuff. And I remember the guy being like, we're gonna toss out lots of product today. And I remember just thinking, lots of product.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a business now. It's such a marketing thing. It's like they see all these kids here not as people just wanting to have fun and skate, but these are they're marketing to everybody.
So when he said we're going to toss out lots of product, was he referring to the moves that the skaters were doing? Like the skaters themselves were the product, or
no, they
boards and stuff.
They would toss out stickers or decks or wheels, and kids would all fight for them.
Rawr, 2 go in, 1 come out.
Yeah, exactly. But they just toss stuff into the crowd, and it'd be like a melee.
Wow,
that sounds safe.
It's maybe not so different than what happened to yoga.
Gotta get paid.
We threw a bunch of Lululemon tights in the center of the room, and then all those bitches went at it.
At least yoga had a 2,500 year run before.
Yeah, they got their shit worked out.
I mean, yeah.
All things in the world are speeding up, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The technology of skating, got merchandised really quickly. That's all. Like everything else does now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I guess, one way to view it with our modern eyes would be this was like a viral video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a marketing viral video. Yeah. But no one died in 7 days.
But it's interesting because it seems like it made almost no splash outside of the skateboarding community.
But I mean, it probably expanded that community.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it was like a calling card, you'd go somewhere else and, hey, have you seen Animal Chin? Right.
It's like an identifier for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like when you're 12 years old looking for an identity, it came instantly prepackaged for you. Like you had your music, you had your clothes, you had your hobby, you had your friends. It was all just basically, prepackaged. You put down the $120 for the skateboard and there you were.
It's modern spirituality.
Yep.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
Built-in culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we see this as for the boys, an odyssey, they're on search, they're on this quest, and this is the apex of it. They're on this huge holy grail of half pipes. And this is where they get the true enlightenment, right?
Well, at that last kind of tube that they made, they go there to where the last sighting of Animal Chin is, and they just skate for like 15 damn minutes. I was like,
Yeah.
Lord.
Well, they're taking it from the front tube and from the back tube.
That's right.
I was like, good Lord. Like, what's going on? Ugh.
A lot. It's like the crescendo of the crescendo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of crescendos happening.
And
They
then
really
suddenly
shot
it
their
was
wad.
over.
What?
And then and suddenly it felt like it was over. I was just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I thought I had
Yeah.
to watch 2 more hours of this movie.
No, it was an hour. It was only an hour long.
Only 65 minutes. They have the realization, though, and they have that conversation where they're like, do you think there ever was an Animal Chin?
Yeah.
Is there God? I've been waiting for Godot for 65 minutes.
Yeah. And then you never find out. They just, we had fun. That's I guess that was the quest, was the object of the quest, was the quest itself.
Well, the narrator ties it together for us if we don't get it. He says they were really into finding Animal Chin, and I really couldn't blame them. I went looking for him myself when I was their age. I don't mean the man, but what he stands for. They don't call him Commander Fun for nothing. There it is. And having fun is an art you have to develop, understand, respect.
You know,
So, namaste.
after they wrote that line, they were like, yeah, like they patted each other on the back. You know, they're like, this is awesome.
This is what they're in it for. So they have
Yeah. Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say the true enlightenment is that it's the journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not the end.
Yep.
That old thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just like, privileged white guys can put anything on film and get away with it. And I know they weren't all white. There was one of them that was many things in one. But
And another guy who's maybe Latino or Asian.
Yeah.
I don't know. Filipino probably. But yeah, and okay, and like to get back to that other point, like I think actually skating was a little bit more multicultural than we're seeing here.
yeah.
Yeah, at least it was in my experience, but I feel like this was the marketing side of it was pushing something to parents.
Totally. Yeah, we got this like cleaned up version
Mm-hmm.
of a very dangerous sport that kids are doing. Pete, where were you when you were skating and you were watching this?
Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So you had skiing, you had skating, you had all kinds of stuff.
But I never skied. I only skated.
Oh, so you were not a hot dog.
Nope.
Well, I mean, honestly, like skiing is for the rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that is hard.
Skateboarding is more democratic.
Accessible.
Yeah. And snowboarding hadn't really gotten going so much yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the barrier to entry for skateboarding is definitely lower than snowboarding and skiing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you literally don't even have to wear any special clothes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was cute though that Tony Hawk was wearing pink.
Yes. That long hair and
little
the pink. I was like,
Yeah.
go on, androgyny Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
I had that exact same pink shirt and the same dyed, bleached hair, then the Tony Hawk surf cut.
And they
Yeah.
act
Oh,
like the
God.
millennials created pink.
No, they love the colors, these boys.
Yeah.
And the
No,
skulls.
that was the thing. Every shirt came in like 12 different pastel colors, and they all had happy skulls on them.
Right. A little bit of death, a little bit of rainbow.
And at the real
Yep.
quick, and at the
Yeah.
and at the beginning, when the skull kind of tore through and that kind of super 80s animation, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we watched it twice. We had to see that
Yeah.
part twice.
And that is their famous logo. Like that's the Palo Peralta logo. And then we get the little stinger at the end after the credits, where Stacy Peralta is taking his TV to get repaired after he throws it out of the window at the beginning. And the TV repairman's just like asking him all these questions about the transition and the like he's expecting him to throw his TV out the window like it's a tail drop.
Yeah, that's a skater life.
Yep.
Just throw your shit out the window. It's part of the warranty.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a really cool little Easter egg, and also cameo for him. You know, I mean, it's his movie.
Yeah. And
he gets to be in it.
Yep.
Also, kind of funny to look at him and think that he's like the elder statesman.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
It's a guy obviously in his 20s. Well, Pete, this was like so fun to do something like this. It's so different than anything else we've done.
Well, thanks for dipping your toe into this. This was I hadn't seen it in 30 years, but I instantly, like, every word of dialogue came back to me as I was watching it. Like I'd watched it so many times in the 80s, like I wore out the VHS tape.
Oh, so sweet.
So be honest, after you watched it, did you go out and try to do some sick ollies?
Oh, absolutely. You put on your pink shirt, kind of comb your hair over, and you'd go out and try to do exactly like what these guys did.
Yeah.
Comb your hair over.
There you go.
Once you put your helmet on, nobody knows.
Do you still have a skateboard?
Nope.
Okay.
I smashed up my ankle. And I learned that when you're in your 40s, like falling from 6 feet's a lot farther than when you're in your teens.
Oh my God.
That's screwed up how that happens.
We're all made of glass now. When did that happen?
This is bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But this was super cool. And for our listeners who are interested in the Indiana Jones Minute, how can they find you?
We have a podcast called Indiana Jones Minute, where we just talk about the Indiana Jones movies 1 minute. Every minute of the movie has its own episode. And you can find us anywhere you can find podcasts.
Yes, you are actually quite a star of the movie by minute world.
Ooh.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
we have minute royalty.
The best. So minute royalty, you're royalty for 1 minute. And what's so great about your show is that you have amazing guests on that actually are like, they know what they're talking about. They're not like us. You've had archaeologists on your show and animal trainers and all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah, that's the most fun part, I think, is getting the guests who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you're a great talent curator.
Oh, thank you.
And it's one of the most outstanding things about your show. And of course, if you like Indiana Jones, you're going to want to hear all this discussion. But even if you don't, I mean, I like Indiana Jones, but I'm not like crazy like you are. But it's still an interesting show.
Thank you. And I think our greatest talent find still might be Mr. Stillo.
Yes, Brett Stillo of another star of the podcast world. Who, really likes that movie.
So many stars.
Yes. Podcasting is a weird universe.
Much like Skate-Verse.
It's so true. Very insular.
Yes, it is. It's exactly the same.
Low barrier to entry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very low. Except you don't get your prepackaged clothing and music with it.
I'm not wearing pants right now, so yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
No pants needed. Well, but people do get sponsorships, so it's very similar.
Yeah, some do. Yep.
I'm wearing a Fresno Bee t-shirt right now because they're our sponsor.
You know what we have to do now?
What?
We have to do search for animal broadcast or whatever, and then we go around to different podcasting locations and we just do podcasts from them, and that'll be our animal chin.
Oh yeah, we're looking for the podcast god.
Yeah,
but we might have found him. It might be Pete.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The other thing, maybe you'll know. Maybe what we should do is the search for animal chin minute. 65 episodes. 1 minute at a time.
I'm down.
Okay.
And this scene starts with Tony Hawk balanced at the edge of the rim, holding on with his hand, about to descend back into the half pipe.
See, that was
No
pure
problem.
poetry. That was perfect.
And also kind of dirty.
Yes.
All right.
Sliding through the back door. Oh, never mind. Go on.
I'm just going to slide through that back door myself and say thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Speakeasily versus the 80s or Speakeasily Hour Minute podcast, check out Speakeasily.tv on the internet, because we're a podcast. And you can go on
We have
Facebook.
aspirations.
That's true. We were on TV once. Once. That justified. You can also find us on Facebook at Speakeasily Hour Minute podcast group, Special People's Club. Join our group, and we just wallow in some terrible things in there. And anyway, leave us a review on iTunes too, because it makes us a little bit easier to find. You don't even have to like us, just review us.
Yes, review.
I don't care. All right. Thank you. You've certainly been an audience. Goodbye.